Hello everyone, I welcome you all for a lecture on computation of standard time. This is one of the lectures from a lecture series on industrial engineering. In this lecture, let us discuss the computation of standard time. So we are discussing here the concept of work study or work measurement. Here the calculation of standard time is important factor once we develop a standard method. This is the continuation of method study, where once we develop a standard method, we should set the standard time for carrying out the activities. So here if we define a standard time is the time allowed to an operator to carry out the specified task under specified conditions and defined level of performance. That means once we set the standard time, the worker has been given a specified task and he has to perform that task under specified conditions and at the defined level of performance. That means he should perform at the expected level of performance. So if we want to calculate the standard time, there are various elements of standard time. These elements are shown in this figure. The standard time is composed of observed time, rating factor, relaxation allowance, and contingency allowances. Now what is the observed time? As we know that in the phase of breaking the job into elements, once the recording of the basic information regarding the job and operator are done, the next step is breaking the job into elements. We know that an element is a distinct part of a specified job selected for a convenience of observation, measurement and analysis. So in this case, once a work is divided into elements, we have to note or observe the time required to perform that element. So usually when the elements are selected for a particular work, the next step is to start to note the observation regarding the time. So there are the two principal methods of noting the time with respect to a stopwatch: cumulative timing and flyback timing. Usually in cumulative time watch method, we run continuously the watch throughout the study, and it is started at the beginning of the first element of the first cycle, and then it is not stopped till the whole task is completed. So here at the end of each element, the watch is reading recorded and individual element times are obtained by successive subtractions after the study is completed. So this is related to cumulative readings. Now there is one more method, that is flyback timing. So in the flyback timing, what we do here, with the use of stopwatch, the stopwatch is returned to 0 at the end of each element and allowed to start immediately as the time for each element is obtained directly. So here at the start of each element, the watch is started, and at the end of that element of work, the stopwatch is stopped. So for here in flyback method, flyback timing, we get the timing for each of the work element. Now once we obtain the observed time, next step is to apply a rating factor. Now rating factor is important here because while recording the time of the elements, operator's speed of working is assessed and recorded on the observation sheet. Rating is the time study engineer's assessment of the worker's space of working in relation to the concept of standard or normal. Therefore, rating is used to convert observed time into normal time. So if we combine the observed time by considering the rating factor, we get the basic time. Basic time is called as the normal time. So in the next we will see how to convert or how to obtain the basic time with respect to observed time and rating factor. So here with respect to observed time, rating factor is multiplied to obtain the basic time. And once we obtain the basic time, then we have to add certain allowances which are related to various work elements. So what are these allowances? These allowances fall into different categories. We know that normal times of elements are added together, give normal time for the operation, but this will be equal to standard time as the operators cannot work continuously. Here some additional time is added to the normal time to arrive at the standard time. The additional time is needed. Why it is needed? Sometimes to provide operator to attend his personal needs. That means some allowances are required. Other allowances required are interference allowance, contingency allowance, policy allowance. So all these allowances we should take into consideration while calculating the standard time. In contingency allowance, there are two types of allowances. They are unavoidable delays and the work allowance. So why we need to consider these allowances? Let us see in the next slide. But let us describe here the various steps to come at the standard time. First, we have to consider the observed time for each element. Then we have to apply performance rating to compensate for difference in pace of working, as we know that the skills vary person to person. So we have to rate the workers on the average method. Then we have to consider the relaxation allowance, then interference and contingency allowance, and policy allowance if applicable. We will consider these allowances. Now let us see the picture or a chart how a standard time is calculated in the next slide. Here various allowances to build the standard time are mentioned with respect to this figure. Now let us observe here what are the allowances, their different types, and how we come to the standard time. Now if you look at the relaxation allowances, there are various allowances such as personal allowance, fatigue allowance. Again, fatigue allowance is divided into two types: constant fatigue allowance and variable fatigue allowance. So if we look at the allowances, why these allowances are important? We know that the observed time and rating factor, they don't consider any allowances for the worker, and we know that it is impossible to work throughout the day even though the most practicable effective method has been developed. This is impossible to work continuously during a shift. Even under the best working method, the job will still demand the expenditure of human effort, and some allowance must therefore be made for recovery from fatigue and for relaxation. Hence, the allowances must be made to enable the worker to attend his personal needs. Now, if you look in the figure here, the allowances are categorized as relaxation allowance, interference allowance, that is interference and contingency allowance, and policy allowance if applicable. Now if we add the normal time with respect to total allowances, it gives us the standard time. Now let us describe in brief these allowances first. Now relaxation allowance. This allowance is calculated so as to allow the worker to recover from the fatigue. We know that the workers are subjected to the constant fatigue. So to recover from the physiological and psychological effects of carrying out specified work under specified conditions and to allow attention to personal needs, this amount of allowance will depend on the nature of job. So relaxation allowances are of two types: fixed allowance and variable allowance. As we know that personal needs are there for every human being, so we must take into consideration the personal needs allowance. So it is intended to compensate the operator for the time necessary to leave the workplace to attend to the personal needs like drinking water, smoking, washing hands. So usually women require more personal allowance than men. A fair personal allowance is usually 5% for men and 7% for women. Now allowance for basic fatigue. To compensate for energy expended during the working, usually this kind of allowance is 4% of basic time. This is a common measure considered for this allowance. Now let us see the next kind of allowance, variable allowance. So in this allowance we consider here if there are poor environmental conditions or there is a heavy to medium work and there are abnormal working conditions. So in this case we must consider the special allowance in terms of a variable allowance, so that while setting the standard time, workers will take this kind of allowance and the target during a shift, 8 hours a shift, can be met. Now next allowance is the interference allowance. As we know that this allowance of time is included into the work content of the job to compensate the operator for unavoidable loss of production due to simultaneous stoppages of 2 or more machines being operated by him. So this allowance is applicable for machine or process controlled jobs. Now when the interference occurs when a same operator is working on 2 or more machines. At that time, if there is a unavoidable loss of production due to stoppages, so at that time we consider this as an interference allowance because this is unexpected and unavoidable. So here we consider the interference allowance in proportion to the number of machines assigned to the job. So this is the predetermined allowance, interference allowance. Contingency allowance is provided. Why it is provided? Usually it is a small amount of time to meet the legitimate and expected items of work or delays, the precise measurement of which is uneconomical because of their infrequent or irregular occurrence. Usually this allowance is provided for small unavoidable delays as well as for occasional minor extra work. Some of the examples are here: the tool breakage involving the removal of tool from the holder and all other activities to insert a new tool into the tool holder. Sometimes there is a power failure. Usually this contingency allowance should not exceed the 5%. So these are the allowances where we should consider them for setting the standard time. Thank you for watching the video.